All right. Sorry about that, folks. Had a little bit of a technical difficulty. Carolina made a trade. They weren't able to get a list in, but they told me the player they wanted, so I had to fix it because something happened with the war room. So anyway, welcome back to the 2021 draft. Really exciting here. Carolina moved up to pick up the number one pick. They did give up a pretty penny to Philadelphia to move up here, but it seems like they've got a franchise player in mind to take them to the next level. So we'll see how they do and see if they get the player that they want, and we'll go from there. So um, I already know who they're taking, so let me go select them. So first pick of the draft, they're taking Kelso. So Kelso out of Virginia set all kinds of records in college. Uh, definitely set pretty much every passing record that I can think of, and looks like they're going to be pretty happy with him. Um, Only real knock I can see is his endurance isn't great, which could play a role if he's throwing the ball a lot. But in the type of offense that Carolina runs, he might be ideal. But man, that arm, 91, intelligence 90, accuracy 87. He's got great QB skill. He'll be an excellent player for Carolina, and excited to see what they do with him. But I think they might have got their franchise quarterback there, moving up to the number one pick. So that likely could be worth it. They might have some holes to fill in other positions, but Kelso's only 21 years old. So a lot of development time. He looks like he's primed and set up to have a great long career. So congrats to Carolina on the number one pick, and I think they'll be pretty stoked here. Um, Definitely great pick at number one. So let's move on to the number two pick here, and that's going to be the 49ers. And they are currently set at AI, so we'll go ahead and see what they do. San Francisco, so they're going to be looking for a player. So there was some chatter about Preston in the chat. So interesting to see how he is. I actually like a lot of his. I like him. Speed 60, agility 60. He's got 81 strength. So out of Penn State, 22 years old, 290 pounds. I mean, if it was me personally, I'd like a bigger guy, but with his speed and agility, that's going to be pretty well above average for defensive tackle. He's really just going to have to work hard on that endurance to get that up. So he's not going to have to platoon, because as it stands right now, his endurance is going to be high enough to play significant snaps in the game, but with a little bit of training, I think he could definitely get there, and he's got the skills, so he's going to be a useful defensive tackle for San Francisco. Good pick at number two. Let's move on to number three. So we got the Chiefs coming up here. Let's see who they take. So Chiefs, we've got John Holbrook, another defensive tackle off the board, and I really like this guy. So I actually like this player a little bit better. So Holbrook's out of Denver, and there was some speculation that maybe he would not be great, but he had an excellent pro day, excellent combine, and came out of that small school of Denver. But what I really like to see is he's got that speed at 66. His strength, while not, it's above average, and that's developable. So he'll be able to get that up to, probably close to 90 over the years. He's 22 years old, so time to develop him for sure. 6'4", 296. But I really like that speed, and his endurance is already pro-level endurance. He knows how to play the position, so this is a player that Kansas City is going to be able to use right away. So quite the pick. I think you could have swapped either one. Either of these two defensive tackles look pretty good to me, but Holbrook, I would say, gets a little bit of the nod at number 3 from me, just because that speed of 66, he's going to be able to get that up to 70. It's incredibly rare to find a defensive tackle that has 70 speed and then gets up to 90 strength, and it's possible that Holbrook could get there, barring any injuries. He's got a great personality, great work ethic, great competitiveness, really good player, I think. So moving on to the Bills, let's see who they take with pick number 4. I know I kind of heard some chatter. I thought they were kind of hoping Kelso might fall there, but with that big trade, you had to know that Carolina was looking for a quarterback. They traded away John Bell to the championship-winning Miami Dolphins this past season, and so they were definitely on the market to get a quarterback, and they got their franchise quarterback. So now we got the Bills. Let's see what they do. So the Bills are going with Christopher Schuler, tackle out of Notre Dame. Good strength, good pass blocking and run blocking, knows how to play the position, has training at guard, so you could run him in training camp at guard, push that up a little bit, and you'll have a guy that can platoon multiple places. But as it stands right now, he's going to have to platoon with that lower endurance. So they're going to want to work with him, but that's a good player. 84 strength, decent tackle out of Notre Dame, and I'd say that's a good pick. 21 years old. He's 314 pounds, so real big body. He's going to be excellent in the passing game. He'll build that up as well. His personality's pretty good, about average, I'd say. You know, not incredibly high in anything, but he's not going to do anything that's going to be a detriment to your team. So Schuler, great pick at number 4 for the Bills, and that's going to take us to the Saints. Let's see what they do here at pick number 5. So they're going with Brian Lee, a guard out of Florida State. And Florida State, a run block, more significant running school. So it looks like it shows through in his rating. So his run blocking's pretty high. Love that strength. 317 pounds, so he's got really good size. He comes out of a pedigreed school in Florida State. They won the championship. He's got a championship pedigree. His speed's a little bit low, which isn't going to be super ideal at 36. You might want to push that up a little bit, but he's got the agility to move, and he is playing guard, so I don't think he's going to need, outside of maybe in pulling situations. So if you're running some counters, he might be a little slow on the block, on the pull. But he's also got training in tackle and center, and almost maxed out at guard. So good player. His leadership and team player is not great, but work ethic's excellent, so he's going to do well in the gym to build those skills up. His competitiveness is nice, and that should be a good player for the Saints. He'll want to push his endurance up a little bit as well, but I'd say that's a solid pick. Number 5 for the Saints, and that guy should be a caliber lineman and should be able to have a good career in this league. So nice pick for the Saints at number 5, getting Brian Lee out of Florida State. So that takes us on to the Browns, and they had both rookies of the year this past season, and they've got another high pick this year. Went 15-1 in the regular season, went deep in the playoffs, and now they've got another high pick to help them continue their climb into the elite of this league. So exciting to see what the Browns are doing. Let's see if they can pick another rookie of the year here at pick number 6. So that's going to be Patrick Fair, guard out of Utah. I used this player, so I'm familiar with him. He was excellent, one of the best guards that I had at Utah. 6'6", 299, so slim and trim, for his height, and his speed and agility's decent. He's even pass and run blocking. He knows how to play the guard position. He's got a little bit of training and tackle, so you could work on him there. Disposition sportsmanship is great. You're not going to ask him to be the locker room leader. He's not a significant team player, but he does have the competitiveness to play on the line and in the trenches. He's got strength. He's got everything. He should be a lineman that certainly lasts in this league, barring any injuries. But what I love about him is he's already got the pro level endurance. So solid player at number 6 to build that line for the Browns. And that's going to take us to the Ravens at number 7. Let's see who they go with. That's going to be Bolin. We're going to go Willie Bolin, another tackle. So we're just going straight up line right off the top. But that's a solid choice. I mean, these linemen are good and developable. There are some good linemen in the draft. Willie Bowen here at tackle. He's 20 years old, so he's got a lot of time to develop. And he's already got the strength, pass blocking, and run blocking, knows how to play the tackle position, great intangibles. So that should be a solid pick for the Ravens. So that's some good linemen that look like they're definitely going to last in this league right off the top. Let's see who the Chargers go with at number 8. So William Walker, another defensive tackle. He's out of Notre Dame, 21 years old, decent strength, tackling. His speed's a little more average, but he does have, what's that size? Does that say 368 pounds? Is that guy that huge? Is this guy the refrigerator? If that's 368 pounds, I mean, the text is a little small on my screen, and I just got new contacts, and so they're a little bit tricky for me to see exactly what that says, but pretty sure that says 368 pounds, which is insane. His strength's a little bit low. He's going to have to work on that. But that's about it, really. He's just going to have to get stronger and build that endurance, and should be a solid player for the Chargers. William Walker out of Notre Dame. So moving on to the Patriots at number 9, and they're an AI team. They've been AI for a while, pretty much ever since they've won the Super Bowl a few seasons ago. And, they've kind of taken a downward slide down to number 9 now. So we'll see how they do with their 9th pick, and that's going to be another tackle. So, man, yeah, these linemen are really good in this draft. So that's going to be Michael Schaefer out of Arizona State. Good endurance, good blocking. His agility's kind of bad, and that's going to be tricky for a player playing tackle, because you do want them to have some decent lateral movement, especially in the passing game. So he should be able to build that up. But I would look at this player as maybe a consideration to shift to guard, just because that agility really is never going to grow to a point that isn't a liability. But he does have everything else. His pass blocking will need to come up. It kind of shows through. Not the best pass blocker, so that lateral movement with the agility, not great. So Schaefer, decent pick, but I'd consider moving him. He's got the intangibles to stick around the team and lead in the locker room, competitive player, great disposition. So he's going to be a solid player for him in the locker room. But really, yeah, they're going to want to try and build that agility up. But luckily, in terms of the athletic training, agility is a little easier to build than speed, so there's a good chance he could build that up. So Michael Schaefer, 22 years old, out of Arizona State. So that's going to take us to the Packers, also on AI. See how they do here. So that's going to be Scott Pearson out of Nebraska, a linebacker. So finally we got another position coming off the board. We've had defensive tackles, offensive linemen, and now we finally move to a linebacker. So this guy's going to be tricky. I don't know how much I like this pick. He's got the intangibles, but his speed's going to be slow to play linebacker. You could potentially shift him to defensive end, but his strength is low there as well. So definitely Pearson's going to be a bit of a project for Green Bay. We'll see how they utilize him, but he's got the work ethic and competitiveness that I really think could help them a lot, and help him in the weight room, engross himself with the team. He is a good tackler, though, so that's something that's helpful, but he really is going to need to develop quite a few other skills. and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do that. He's not going to have the strength to play defensive end. He doesn't have the speed and agility to really play linebacker. So he's certainly going to be a project for the Packers. So we'll see how he does over the years and whether he develops. But I definitely think this was a reach pick. I would have expected Pearson to go, maybe second or third round, especially looking at his ratings there. Not super great outside of his tackling. So anyway, that's going to take us to the Cardinals at number 11. Let's see who they go with. So we're going with James Greco, tight end out of UCLA, and I'd say this is a pretty good pick. I like this pick. 21 years old, 6'4", 246, strength 61, maybe a little bit low for a tight end, but he's got great hands, so you're going to be able to use him in the passing game, especially if you get him on some short routes, which I think Arizona likes to run. A little bit shorter passing game. So you get him on some short routes, you're going to be able to mask that speed a little bit. He's got the hands already. His pass and run blocking might be a little bit low. He could probably push that strength up a little bit, but 21 years old, out of UCLA, that's a good pick, and his endurance is already great, knows how to play the position. So this should be a pretty solid pick for the Cardinals. And somebody was telling me in chat that there were no tight ends in the draft, but it looks like that was false because Greco looks good and developable to me. So nice pick for the Cardinals. That'll take us to pick number 12, and we will see how that goes. After Greco, we got the Bucs up next. Number 12, they are looking to be an up-and-coming program. They had an improvement this year, if I remember correctly, but they're still going to be working, but they are under human control now, which I think will really help them a lot. So anyway, let's see how the Bucs do at number 12. So number 12, that's going to be Matt Dixon out of Oregon. I like his size. I was going to say I was thinking he was going to be over 220 pounds for a second, but I misread that. I was reading 22 years old. So 193 pounds, 6'1", decent size. Speed and agility will develop, but he's got good strength, I'd say, for the position. And this is a guy you could even consider moving over to corner, and he's got great endurance. Love all of his intangibles. He's just going to have to push that speed and agility up. So I'd say if I developed him up above 85 in speed, I'd switch him over to corner. But as it is right now, I'd stick him at free safety in the meantime. But I'd say decent pick, decent defensive back that should be pretty versatile. He's already got some training at CB, so you're not going to, if you put him through training camp at cornerback now, you're not going to have his whole entire first camp developing at that position, just developing his position skill. So you see that 5 there, and it's like, I'm going to develop him at corner, but that means that training camp, he's also going to develop his skills and speed and agility as well. So I like to look for, even if it's a 5, if I'm considering moving a guy, that's what I consider. And he would be really stellar, I think, at corner with that 56 strength, but you really could play him at either position. He's already got the training at free safety, so solid pickup for the Buccaneers. And he should be a decent player in this league, especially he's got the intangibles, so he should last. So that's going to take us on to the Broncos at number 13, and let's see who they take. That's going to be Gilman, another free safety out of Florida State. I'd say that's a good pick. Florida State's a solid program to look for players out of. They've historically been one of the top programs in college, and they've won 2 out of the last 3 championships. So you've got, I'd say this pick's a little bit better than the other one. He's already got that 84 speed, 84 agility, so he'll easily push that up above 85 for each. He's 5'10", so I'd probably really consider moving him to corner, but he doesn't have any training there. But you could leave him at free safety. Endurance is pro level enough to stick in here, but I really like his tackling. That tackling is going to really be an asset at the DB position, and that's something that Drummer with Florida State is known for. He looks for DBs that have good strength and good tackling, and that's why they've had a significant, one of the top defenses in college football for the time they have. And Gilman's a nice pick here, I'd say, for the Broncos, moving on to Florida State, and he's going to be heading to the mountains of Denver and living that mile-high life. So awesome pick for the Broncos, and I think they got a player that will definitely contribute for years to come. So that's going to take us on to the Seahawks. Seahawks at number 14. Let's see who they take. That's going to be Philip Hayward, wide receiver out of Georgia Tech. And I'd say this is a solid pick. You're already going to be able to stick this player in the lineup, get him some reps. He's got pro-level speed, wants to push that agility up a little bit, but his hands are already nice, and he'll develop. 22 years old out of Georgia Tech. He might be a little bit short. He's only 5'11", but if you can push that speed up to 90, I mean, he's going to be a great, kind of Steve Smith type is kind of how I see him. So solid pick. Intangibles are great. Competitiveness especially, that's something I love out of, every position really, but wide receiver, they're going to fight for that ball. They're really going to fight into those blocks when they have to be in blocking situations, and so that's a solid pick, I'd say, for Seattle. Good young wide receiver in Philip Hayward out of Georgia Tech. So that's going to take us on to our last two picks here. We've got the Giants at 15. Let's see what they do with their pick. So that's going to be Andrew Watson, another tight end off the board. So he's a little bit shallower. He's got good run blocking, though. You're already going to be able to use this guy in the run blocking game. I like his size, 261. 65 strength already. That's pretty solid. Knows how to play the position. He's got decent enough hands, but he's going to want to improve on speed or agility. So solid pick, and you'll definitely see this player develop. 21 years old out of Georgia, and Georgia's historically been a good physical program as well. I'd say that that's a solid pick. So who was it that was telling me there's no tight ends in this draft? It looks like there are to me, because that's a solid tight end. And Greco was a solid tight end as well. So nice pickup for the Giants at 15, and that's going to take us to our final pick for now. The Raiders and Zach. Let's see who he does. And I'm pretty sure I can't remember if Zach was here for the Raiders or for the draft last year. Pretty sure I wasn't, so this might be his first draft. So that's going to take us on to see who they take at 16. That's going to be Larry Schmidt, wide receiver out of Houston, and I'd say this will probably be a miss. So that speed and agility isn't great. Definitely, he's got the other stuff, but you can't make him a tight end. So this one's definitely a miss. 6'1", 191. You could definitely play him in some short passing game, but I would kind of consider this one a little bit of a bust, if I'm being honest, because that 71 speed's just not going to do it from the wide receiver position. And sometimes that's a risk, taking players from the smaller schools. Sometimes they don't shake out as well. They put up good numbers playing against marginal competition, but then they get into the draft and, they look like they're going to be good, and the Raiders end up stuck. So that's going to conclude our first day. Unfortunately, sorry to Dallas. You're going to have to wait till the morning. So I'm planning on doing the next draft or the rest of the first round. I'll do it first thing in the morning. But overall, a lot of good players in the first 16 picks, and pretty pleased to see how that all goes, for all of these teams. I'd say there were a couple busts, but some really good players in the first round, and excited to see how things go tomorrow and who Dallas picks at number 16 after a disappointing season. They were defending their Super Bowl, and it seems like they had a hard time doing it, and then they ended up missing the playoffs this season. So we'll see. First thing tomorrow, I'm planning on doing it at about noon Eastern. So hit your calendars, and if you haven't gotten an export in and you're in this next part of the draft, make sure you get your export in, and look forward to checking in on the chat and checking in tomorrow with the rest of you and the rest of the stream. So anyway, have a great rest of your evening, and we look forward to picking it up again in the morning.